Maverick 100.9. It's Corliss here with, I think, everyone's favorite Brandon Rhyder song, Freeze Frame Time. We've got Brandon chatting with us today because we got a show coming to town. But Brandon, you and I were chatting before the interview. I never knew where the song Freeze Frame Time came from. I thought it was just a beautiful country ballad, but the story and the meaning behind it not only is incredible, but it's actually advanced through the years. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, and I didn't even tell you the whole story. So, my wife and I got married in 1994, and we didn't have children until Dusty came along in 2006. Obviously, there's a lot of things that happened in that time. I was chasing the whole music dream. Kelly and I both went to college, graduated college, and we just when we got married, we agreed that we wanted to wait to have kids. And honestly, if we hadn't have waited, I probably wouldn't have been able to pursue the music aspect like I did. So when we started talking about having kids, I always say it's about the time the grandparents quit asking if we were ever going to have kids, type thing. But then looking at this, I told you a little bit about, my friends and them all being older than me and watching them have kids and watching how much that changed them. And I knew that when we had a child that it was going to be life altering. It was going to be something that I had never felt before. Little did I understand the unconditional love that would actually come with it. So we're talking about having kids, and um, I'm writing for this third record. I'd put out one because she loves me in '01, Behind the Pine Curtain in '03, and I had met Walt Wilkins. I was writing for this next record, and Walt wanted to produce it. And I happened to be on a trip with my father-in-law out to Coleman, Texas. We would go on a dove hunt every 1st of September. He and I, for years and years, we did that. And I was sitting in the middle of the sunflower field at daylight. Um, there was another group that was with us across the field. They had a lady in the group who sang beautifully, and they had her on CD singing Amazing Grace. They opened up the truck doors and they started blaring this just as the sun was starting to come over the horizon. And it was a beautiful moment because, at that time in my life, I was seeing a lot of sunrises before I went to sleep, not when I woke
Yeah.
up fresh from sleep. So I was sitting in this moment and I thought to myself, if I could stay here longer than I know this is going to last, if I could freeze frame time, I would stay here. And I wrote that song in the middle of that field, sitting on a bucket. Um, and I played it the very next day at a show in Clubhouse Concerts with Walt. Uh, Now, it wasn't the perfect version that next day, but it had the legs that it needed. And so the next thing was for us to go in and record that, which is the record Conviction. And, Walt came up with a beautiful intro version to the whole record to go into Freeze Frame Time, the very first song on the record. And that kind of set the whole realm. And that song is it's about my child. It's about my firstborn son. It's the thing I love about it is that I wrote it before he was here. That I had the insight, the knowledge to be able to understand that this was going to be something that I had never felt before. And certainly it is and was. So I think that's what makes me the most proud about it is that it was in anticipation of Dusty being here, not the fact that he was here and I already knew what that feeling was. And so the feelings match up so very well. After he was born, all those things that I felt, the unconditional love that I felt, it was all there and it's still all there. I feel like more than anything, I'm not just blessed to be a father. I feel like I was put on this planet to be a father. And it's something that I take with high regard and responsibility. And here as they gather up in high school to finish out their time home with mom and dad, and they spread their wings and fly to know that we've raised good humans is more important than anything else on this planet.
Yeah. But it does. It makes you want to freeze frame time even more. That, you know, like you said, he's 17, heading into his senior year of high school. So we're going to be thinking about you, your family, and your son now every time we hear that song. But we can all relate to that as well. We all have those moments that we don't want to miss and we just want to freeze them. I mean, you as a, dad slash performer, you know that better than anything. We all go to shows that we wish we could freeze in time, and that's always what's captured my love of music, and the fact that my parents threw me right into it. My dad always thought I was going to end up being a singer, and I do have to touch on that father's intuition, that knowing before you know. So the name Corliss has no cool story whatsoever. Dad just found it in a baby book and just liked it.
There you go.
Yeah, that was it. But if you look up what it translates to, it basically means carefree, outgoing. Um, and so I've always thought it was so odd that my dad knew exactly who I was before I was born. So spooky.
Oh, that's good. That's beautiful. That's what it's all about. You
Yeah.
know, talking about kids and talking about names, I, um, I had a brother who was born prematurely and didn't survive when I was 3 years old. It was one of my first memories that I have, and his name was Dusty. And so when we had a child, I asked my wife if we could name our son Dusty after some of those very first memories that I ever had. And she said absolutely. And so that's another beautiful part of the whole story of having a brother briefly and then losing him and then being able to name my child after that. But also with my daughter. My daughter's name is Mahala, Mahala,
That's beautiful.
and uh, she is she's my carefree. She
Yeah.
she is she is beautiful. She is smart. She has survived a scoliosis uh, surgery that was not for the faint of heart, something
Super
that
weird. I have an odd form of scoliosis.
yeah. Well, she had to have major surgery.
Yeah.
It's been 3 years ago this coming November. But when she was born, I knew from the moment that she was born that she was special and that she was, I always say that God broke the mold with her. She has uh, a beautiful birthmark on her leg, and I mean, I literally said that when she was born. Was when I held her was, God broke the mold with this one. And so let's go back to her name, Mahala. I have a Daryl Scott, great musician, singer, songwriter. I'm a huge fan of Daryl Scott. Um, he's still out there touring today. He's got a brand new record out as well. But he had a daughter named Mahala, and I fell in love with the name, and that's where I came up with this. And then I asked Kelly, my wife, and I said, I just love this name. Do you like it? She did, and we named. My father got into genealogy of our family after that. And one day I got a phone call from him, and he said, "You're not going to believe this, but in the 1800s, we had three family members that were named Mahala, spelled exactly the same way, Mahala." And the last one, I believe, passed away in like the early 1890s. And the name, there it's got both Native American and also Hawaiian backgrounds, and there's a little discernment over exactly what the meaning is. But the meaning that I got from it was pure woman,
Oh, wow.
pure woman, and she is 100% pure woman.
Oh my goodness, I want to hug your daughter. She
Yeah,
sounds like just, I don't know. There's something about your generation of raising children though that's just, speaking of breaking the mold, I think it's you guys that have totally figured out how to raise children. And it's a generational thing. We keep learning. as
Mhm.
generations go on. I think you guys are going to be the ones that are remembered for raising the best kids in the world. Boy, we really got off on it, but it's so good to know your heart. And because, technically through the speakers, all we have are songs. But I do know this community here has loved your songs for a very, very long time. We've got you coming into the Palace Theater in downtown Bryan this Saturday. And
Mhm.
honestly, I've got to think, how long has it been since you've even played in the BCS Aggie Land area? It's been a minute.
It has. I think we played at one of the places in Bryan, and it's been a couple of years ago, but it has been. I do a lot of private stuff in the College Station area. I still get called to do a lot of stuff there. Not as much playing in the venues as much, but I still I've got this really amazing band. And in fact, we just spent Sunday and Monday together recording, working in the studio on new material. And, uh, we don't, my dinner shows, I don't know if you know anything about those, but dinner shows
I've
that I
heard
have,
of it.
they kind of took off after COVID. And it's something that we're honestly doing all over the United States. It's been a really crazy, wild ride with that. But at the same time, I still yearn for that full band experience to be on stage with my guys. And lucky for me, they have other things. They don't completely have to depend upon me for their livelihoods. And so being able to play a couple, 2 or 3 times a month kind of scratches that itch, so to speak, for all of us. But gosh, we're so good. We're great. And
That's so funny. You're like, man, when you're proud of your product, like scream it out loud, you know?
yeah. Well, I mean, we're good. This is a great band, and the feel and the touch and the heart and the soul and the vocals, the everything that we bring to the table with this group. It's a lot of fun right now. We have, we play probably 50 shows a year together, but we've been sitting here talking about the kids getting older and soon they'll be off to college. And I think that will give me that opportunity to really kind of focus more on the full band aspect of it and go back out there and hit it harder than we have been in the last few years while I'm watching my kids grow up. So I look forward to that. The show's Saturday night at the Palace. It's my band will have some beautiful 3-part harmonies. Um, my guitar player, friend, producer, Josh on guitar is just a really fantastic guitar player. He's a young kid. When I say young, because he's your age. Uh,
Well, thank you.
he's your age, and the same thing with Trevor. It's so much fun, and we love each other, and it's easy. And if you come to the show on Saturday night, you'll hear everything from those early days, up to the current stuff that we've been playing. So it's all over the map. Um, but it is a rocking good time.
That sounds like it. And, you touched on it yourself. Seeing Brandon Ryder in a venue with a full band is a rare thing these days. So, to any Brandon Ryder fans out there, take your opportunity. Of course, tickets are available at the Palace Theater website. We've also got all the info, times, links, everything you need on the concert calendar at maverickradio.com. Aggie Land artist Jacob Ryan Marshall is opening up the show. He's one of my kiddos here. You're watching your kids grow. I'm just watching my little Aggie Land artist grow, and I think that's a big deal. He gets to open up and learn from one of the greatest songwriters that I've ever known, Brandon Ryder. That's pretty cool in itself.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. That means a lot. I'm proud of the material that we put out there over all these years. We've done this for the last 21 years, 22 years now. I've put out 11 different records, a couple of live records live at Billy Bob's. We did a live record in '07 in College Station and Nacogdoches, respectively. And, um, it's just the music keeps coming. It
Yeah.
keeps coming and it keeps being written. And, I may not be out there hitting it as hard as I once was, but there's still that fire and that passion for it.
Well, and there's plenty of time for it, Brandon.
Yeah.
The more you write, the longer we get to enjoy you. Like you've already left us with some pretty heart stopping singles, but and records. I mean, like you said, there's 11 of them. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But you keep giving the gift of music and we'll keep backing you forever, man.
Well, I appreciate it. And I appreciate the time.
Of course. Well, y'all, once again, Brandon Rhyder this Saturday, your one and only chance. We're just gonna call it that for now. And you've got to get out there, especially since the Palace Theater has done just the most magnanimous renovations, just reopened. It's so beautiful. I'm so thankful to have them as our studio sponsor and just to have been out there to experience music as well. So go check it out. This is your time, Brandon. I'm so lucky I get to catch up with you. Normally, I only see you once a year at the TCMAs, but I did just get the email that you are hosting once again. So I can't wait for that shindig at Billy Bob's.
Yeah, I keep waiting for them to run me off, but they keep asking me back every single year. So, that the Texas Country Music Awards from the first year that we've done it up to now is just continued to grow and get better and better and better. I thought last year was the most complete show that we've had of that whole thing, and I look forward
Agreed.
to
Yeah.
doing it again in November.
Yep, I'm excited. I am excited. Voting is over, but you can get tickets if you want to see not just Brandon Ryder do his thing, but a lot of Texas country artists that you know and love all in one room in one night. TexasCountryMusicAssociation.org. But that's November. This is now. Go see Brandon Ryder. Brandon, thank you for
Thank
coming to
you.
Maverick for your first time. I know that's weird to say, but thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it and look forward to seeing everybody out there Saturday night.